ecological footprint. The word eco has become sort of like a colloquial expression these days, but it's really a serious matter to shrink our ecological footprint, especially in this country, because Americans, we just got, everything's big. Our country's big, and our landfills are getting bigger and bigger. And that's something that we really need to start focusing on so that we can preserve not only for ourselves, but for the generations to come, because most of this is going to affect our children, grandchildren, and the next generation. Now, since the 1990s, standardized measurements have been put in place that have established an ecological footprint. It's really some standard measurements. They're very interesting to read on the internet. And this analysis of the ecological footprint compares the way humans put a demand on the resources and then the rate at which the earth can recover from the demand we put on the resources. Since 2006, they have not put out a new reading, but they only put them out every few years because they have to take 3 or 4 years to do the measurements and then come back and tell us what they're finding. But in 2006, the United Nations, that's the organization that governs these standards, they put out a report that said we're using our resources 1.4 times faster than the earth can recover. Now that can't continue to go on, but at the present it is getting worse. So when they put out a new report in 2011, we can expect it to be even worse. Therefore, we must continue to not just look at it as something just, oh, well, I'll volunteer and help this organization so that we can do better with our ecology, but it really needs to be an everyday part of our lives. Now, I found this little game entitled the Eco Quiz, and I use it when I have company and want to do something, do little conversation starters, and it's lots of little cards on ways that we can improve our environment. So I chose 3 things that we can think about, because this is something we really have to do, is make it a part of our everyday thinking, that we're going to conserve, reuse, and recycle. Recently, there was a person knocking on my door, and he offered to change my waste disposal pickup to his company. So I listened to him, and I changed because they deliver 2 cans, one for the trash that can't be recycled, one container for recyclables. And I had been carrying my trash to the Douglas County dump, my recyclables. My company was picking up once a week, and my trunk was always loaded with stuff that needed to be recycled, and I have to take this little trip over there. But I was doing it just to do my part in recycling. And I have found that I have more for the recycling can than I do for the other can. And I'm happy to do that. And even the old company called me back and asked me, why did you change? We're a family business. We didn't want to lose you. I said, I've been asking them. When I first moved there, I said, do you do recycling? Well, we're going to do it, but we got to tool up for it, and we got to make a new contract with another company and get somebody to pick it up. It costs us a lot of money, you know, to change over. So then when I changed companies, she's a family-owned business. I can appreciate her situation because she is a family-owned business. But I said, you really don't have to keep up with the times. And I'm sorry to have to change. I said, when you change your business over, you call me. And if my contract is out with this company, I'll gladly come back and be your customer again. So anyway, this is 3 little suggestions from this game on how we can recycle on an everyday basis. One thing is the mail that comes in every day. Most of mine is junk mail. And I found out from this game that we Americans produce 4 million tons of junk mail a year. But most of that paper can be recycled. The envelopes that your bills come in, all those little tear-off things, all those little things trying to sell you something else, it should go right in the recycling container. and send it right back so that they can make things out of that paper. Another thing we can do is use recycled paper towels and toilet tissue. That's something we use every day, but we should use that as, not that we don't recycle that we've used, but buy products that have been made, say, from that recycled junk mail. They have recycled it and made other things out of it in toilet tissue and paper towels. Or either just don't use paper towels. I use old-fashioned napkins. I don't iron them. My aunt still irons them. She's in there 100 years old and she'll iron her napkins. But I don't iron them. I just fold them up and just throw them in the wash with the dish towels and dish rags that I wash dishes with. So that's something we can do to save, is on junk mail and on our paper products every day at home. Now we're going to also read to you some websites. This is one called Gazelle, GAZELLE.com. You can send your used electronics to them. They'll take old telephones, old cameras, old camera parts, and you can mail them to them. And if there are parts in there that they can use, they'll pay you for them. You can actually make money on old electronics. They can't recycle everything, but at least it gets it out of the landfills. Now another one is called Eco Encore, ECOENCORE.com. You can send them old CDs and DVDs. A lot of us are putting them on our MP3 players and we don't need a CD anymore. Don't toss it in the trash. Eco Encore will take it and recycle it. And there's one more called, excuse me, Obviously.com. And they tell you about recycling junk mail and other things in your house, everyday products. So those 3 websites, of course, will lead you to all other types of websites that can give you ideas on how to shrink your ecological footprint. Thank you.
Okay. Well, Gina, will you please stand? Yes, Gina's speech was to get to the point, and I know that she sits there and she's talking about ecological footprint, and as she's going through the speech, she's talking about Gazelle.com and Encore, so you can tell that she did a good bit of research into the speech. And I think the biggest suggestion was, I know at the beginning of the speech, you seemed a little bit nervous because you was using your notes like quite often, but then after you got into the speech, you seemed to relax more. It became more natural. And I also, would have been nice to see you come away from the podium a little bit more. Since you were trying to inspire the audience. That would have been something else I would have done. But overall, it was a really good speech. And I also know, like, at work, when we try to do jobs that are green, we have all these reports saying that we're doing a green job. So the job that we're doing that's not green has a stack of paper that big. The job we're saying, hey, we're being green. We got a stack of paper like this. Which is not we kill a lot of trees trying to be green. But yes. And I also, one thing I really liked is, you was talking about you was going up to recycling. I do use a colloquialism. I like to say that you practice what you preach. That is very good. It's often times you get people that sit there and they'll preach on something, and then later on you find out it's like, well, they don't hardly do what they're telling you, trying to convince you to do. But overall, it was really good speech, and thank you very much.